Hi guys! So in today's video I want to talk to you all about glute activation. If you are on Instagram, you probably have heard all about glute activation. It's basically just before you lift, before you do your leg days, if you want to target your glutes, you need to get them awakened because, especially as females, if you're a woman, we tend to be a little bit quad dominant. So when we're doing leg days, generally all the focus is on the quads and you kind of miss the bum. And if you're anything like any woman, you probably want to grow the bum and avoid growing the quads too much. So you want to be doing glute activation before your leg days, just so you're kind of waking your bum up before you start the exercises, and then you're more likely to target your glutes and grow your glutes. I'm going to show you 5 or 6 ways that you can engage your glutes, that you can activate them before you do a workout. Now, you don't need to do all of them all at once. I mean, you can. You'll probably get a nice burn in your bum before you even start lifting weights. Just pick maybe 2 or 3 of them, and you're going to do 2 or 3 sets of them. I'll write it all in the description box down below though, just in case you miss anything from what I'm saying. So you can actually do all these exercises without any equipment if you don't have anything, but I will say they're far more effective if you can get your hands on one of these bands. Now, I like to use the thick bands, the kind of heavy or extra heavy ones, just because they add that much more resistance. You can get them really anywhere. They're very cheap, so I would recommend you grabbing one because most gyms don't have these short ones. I will put, again, in the description box down below where you can buy them. If you can't find these thick ones, or they're sold out or something because it's very popular at the moment, you can get these thinner ones and you can double them up. So one around your knees, one around your ankles, that'll be fine. But yeah, either way, I would recommend getting a band because you will feel it so much more if you do. So for this first exercise, you're going to start lying face down on the floor or on a mat. I like to extend my arms out in front of me, but you can really put them wherever you like. I also like to have my head resting on the floor, my forehead resting on the floor, just so that I'm not arching my neck and straining it by looking in front of me. What you want to do is squeeze your glutes really, really hard. Squeeze your glutes so that your feet come off the floor, and at the top of the movement, hold it there for about 3 seconds just so you know you're really activating those glutes, and then let your feet go back down to the floor. You want to keep your legs as straight as possible because if you bend them, you'll probably be bringing your hamstrings into play rather than just squeezing your glutes. And as you can see, I've put a resistance band around my knees just to make it a little bit harder. So the next activation exercise is going to be the glute bridge. What you want to do in this one is pretty simple. You just want to squeeze your bum again, bring your bum and back off the floor and squeeze at the top of the movement. Again, hold it for about 3 seconds just so you know that you've got a good old squeeze. You will notice though, as much as possible, I'm trying to keep my spine in alignment, so when I come down towards the mat with my bum, I'm not arching my back. I'll show you a couple of bad ones of things you don't want to do. So you don't want to let your bum drop and your back arch massively. You'll put a really big strain on your lower back, which is not what we're trying to do here. So do what I'm doing now in this clip, which is trying to hold your core in pretty tight and just not arch your back on the way down. Just try and keep your body in one straight line and you'll be fine. I like to add this next one onto the end of the glute bridges. So basically, you're going to keep your butt squeezed up in the top position. So you want to make sure it's squeezing all the time. And all you're going to do is sort of tilt your hips and squeeze your right butt cheek, and then come back to the middle and then tilt your hips and squeeze your left butt cheek. So it looks like nothing, but it's actually really quite a good movement for sort of isolating a single glute. If you're like me and you have one glute that engages less than the other, then this is a really good one because it's just doing one of them at a time. Again though, you don't want to arch your back too much. I know in the clip it looks maybe like my back is arched, but that is literally just the way my body is because I have a slightly larger bum and a slightly rounded spine. But again, you just want to keep your back in neutral for this one. Moving on to the next exercise, we are going to go on all fours. You can either be like in a fully extended plank, so on your hands and knees, or you can be like I am here and go on your forearms and knees. But essentially what you want to do in this one is squeeze the glutes for a change. Not really. Basically, in all of these, it's all about squeezing your glutes. But this one in particular, you can do without actually using your glutes. What you want to do is keep your legs sort of at 90 degrees the whole time and just squeeze the bum, really squeeze the bum, and try and do this movement from your bum because it's really easy to make it just all about hip mobility and just use kind of your hip to hinge. But you need to squeeze these glutes in this exercise especially. Again, like all the rest of them, you want to hold at the top position for sort of 3 seconds just to make sure you've got it really engaged, and then let it come down with some sort of control on the way down. So what you don't want to do is just be throwing your leg around wildly. I'll put on the screen now. You don't just want to be kind of throwing it around with no intention or anything. There's always got to be intention there, and you really have to try and squeeze your bum as much as you possibly can. And if at any point during this glute activation you feel like your lower back is slightly sore in any way, just make sure you kind of go back into a little child's pose, give it a bit of a rest, and when you're doing them, when you come back to doing the next set, just make sure you're engaging your core and you're really not arching your back at any point. Moving on to the next one. Again, this one is a slightly smaller range of motion in a movement, but it's really effective. So what I'm doing here is I'm bringing my knees out, and when my knees come out and press against the resistance band, I'm squeezing my bum up. Now again, you have to be really conscious in this one to sort of tuck your tailbone under. So I don't know, if you were like a scared animal and you were trying to tuck your tail between your legs, that's the exact movement that you want to aim for. So tuck the hips under, and as you're pushing your knees out, bring the bum up, and as you bring them in, bring it down, but not all the way down, so that you're releasing the tension on your glutes. That's the whole thing here, is always keep the tension on your glutes for as long as you possibly can. And much like in the other exercise that I was talking about, don't let your back round on this one. Again, you're going to put way too much stress through your lower back if you arch your back and swing the hips up wildly. You just want to keep the movement small and controlled. So this exercise is not solely glute focused. You'll also be getting your outer thighs and your sort of outer butt, if you like, engaged in this one, but it's a really good one, so I suggest that you throw it in there from time to time. For this one, you can either have the band around your knees, around your ankles, or wrapped around your feet, like you'll see in a minute that I've done. Basically, the different band positions just make it a little bit harder. I find the one wrapped around the feet the hardest, but give them all a go and see which one you like. So, as I stated before, what you want to do in this one is keep tension on the band the whole time. So that means you have to take quite a wide step out, and then when you're stepping in with your next foot, don't bring it too close in. I'll show you in a minute. If you bring it too close in, the band will just go really slack and you're not getting any tension on your muscle whatsoever. So you need to keep a wide stance, and when you bring your feet in the middle, also keep a wide-ish stance. Never come with your feet fully together. So this last exercise again is not just glute focused. It brings in the outer thighs and outer bum as well. More so you'll probably feel it in the bum when you're traveling backwards, but essentially what you're doing is having the band wrapped around your ankles, and what you're going to do is sort of move forward in, I don't know, like a skater sort of movement. You're bringing the leg in and out and in and out. And again, like the last one, you don't want to bring the feet too close in. You want to keep them sort of wide and always be pressing out against the resistance band so that you can keep the tension on the glutes. And make sure in this one, when you're walking forwards, it doesn't really matter too much, but when you're walking backwards specifically, make sure you keep all the weight in your heels, because if you keep the weight in your heels, then you're directing the exercise towards your bum, whereas if you keep it further forward in the feet, then you're going to go into the quads. So I hope you enjoyed this video and it gave you some ideas of things to do to activate your glutes before you work out. I'm really excited to be doing these kinds of videos because I've wanted to do fitness videos for a while. I don't know why, I just haven't managed to. I've been a bit scared to or something, but now I'm hoping to bring you way more of these kind of videos. So if you have any ideas of things you would like me to show you, then just write them in the description box down below. The description box. Just write them in the comment section down below and I will definitely get around to doing them. Unless they're like a previous comment which asked me to wear tight leggings and do glute activation exercises with my butt in the camera. Those I will not be doing. So I will see you next video.